There is a particular kind of emptiness that only successful people know. For Mira, a 35-year-old architect sitting in a high-rise above a sleeping Mumbai, it arrived quietly on an ordinary Tuesday. By every metric the world offered her, she had arrived. She designed award-winning buildings, earned profiles in national magazines, and maintained a waiting list of clients who paid premium rates for her exact aesthetic. Yet, in the quiet spaces, alone in a glass elevator or in the back of a cab, there was a lingering anxiety. She had spent a decade diligently answering all the right questions, but she carried the unsettling suspicion that they were someone else's questions. This is a severe misalignment of purpose. It arrives when the life you have built no longer accommodates the person you have become. We spend years checking off the boxes society demands of us, slowly constructing an elaborate, high-status life. Then we wake up to find that very structure isolates us from the things we actually need to feel alive. Her grandmother, Aji, lived an entirely different reality. She spent 61 years in a 2-room apartment in Pune, far removed from magazine profiles or corner offices. Aji never seemed to be waiting for her life to begin. Whether she was growing vegetables on her balcony or telling stories to neighborhood children, she was completely absorbed in the present moment. She possessed a total mastery of contentment. When Aji passed away, she left specific instructions. On the morning of Mira's 35th birthday, her mother handed her a small, worn wooden box. Inside were 4 numbered envelopes, meant to be opened one season at a time. Mira had spent her entire adult life acquiring resources and recognition. Now she was staring at 4 sealed envelopes, wondering how a woman who spent 6 decades in a tiny apartment had captured the exact sense of completeness that she was missing. The first envelope contained 3 words: "What do you love?" Mira sat with this for 3 weeks, making lists and crossing things off, until she realized with deep discomfort that she filled her days with things she was good at, not things she loved. She was highly competent at structural precision, client management, and strict deadlines. But she loved the way morning light moved through a room, and she loved the human stories that unfolded inside those rooms. 3 months later, the second envelope arrived. What are you genuinely good at? Looking past her obvious awards and drafting skills, she asked her Kenya architects for honest feedback, and they gave her an unexpected answer. They told her she designed spaces based on how human beings actually felt inside them, rather than how the structure looked in a photograph. Her unique skill was not technical architecture, it was empathy in 3 dimensions. This realization triggered a loud, intensely practical anxiety. She had a mortgage, an expensive lifestyle, and a 10-year reputation. She was terrified she had spent a decade building a beautiful career on the wrong foundation. Objective skill and high status offer very little comfort if you apply them to a life that forces you to perform a version of yourself you no longer recognize. In autumn, the 3rd envelope asked what the world needed. Mira stopped walking through the glass corridors of commercial Mumbai and went into neighborhoods where space was scarce and creativity was a daily survival strategy. Her corporate clients required grand buildings to house their capital. But the people sitting on these tight doorsteps required spaces that accommodated actual living, children doing homework in busy hallways, and families navigating 400 square feet for 20 years. A full year after she opened the box, the 4th envelope asked what could sustain her. Instead of the panic she expected, Mira felt a sense of clarity. This diagram shows her realization. We have 3 overlapping circles here: what you love, what you are genuinely good at, and what the people around you actually need. She saw that her survival depended on finding the center where these 3 forces met. She had to scale back her lifestyle and accept a smaller margin, trading a corporate salary for a more modest local practice. But by directing her specialized skills toward these real-world constraints, her work became essential to the community. She found a different kind of solvency, one where her bank account and her conscience finally balanced. Today, Mira runs her architectural practice from a smaller, quieter desk. She designs adaptable spaces for middle-income families, spending far more time listening to her neighbors than drafting blueprints for corporate developers. She makes her tea and watches the early light hit a window she specifically designed to catch it. She no longer spends her mornings anxiously anticipating the day. She is completely, unhurriedly present. There is a Japanese word for this intersection, Ikigai. It translates roughly to your reason for being, or more accurately, the reason the morning is worth waking up for. It is an active, daily discipline. You return every morning to the things that make you feel most yourself, finding completion in the deliberate practice of living. The worn wooden box still sits on her desk by the window. The original 4 envelopes are empty, their questions fully lived out over the passing seasons. But Mira has added something of her own. A 5th, unsealed envelope, asking what legacy she will leave behind for someone else. Look at your own daily routine. Of those 4 requirements, love, skill, genuine need, and sustenance, which one have you been quietly ignoring? That ignored answer is where you start. It is the specific point of friction that reveals exactly what needs to be rebuilt.